Very, very warm good evening to all of you. I presume that many of you are from the world of design, and I really sincerely hope that you enjoy it. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Kohler Bold Art, and a special segment and a sequence this evening, as I see it, powered by PechaKucha. It is on behalf of Kohler that I welcome you to an evening of design and color. Now, Kohler, ladies and gentlemen, has been a world leader in the kitchen and baths industry, and design is in its DNA. All Kohler products have a strong design and aesthetics, that aspect to them. Well, they should know, because Kohler has been into designing for more than 140 years now. Now, this evening, Kohler Bold Art brings to you a dialogue between leading designers and architects of Ahmedabad, or Ahmedabad, and you and me. And we do all this using PechaKucha. It is something that means, it's a concept very profound. It actually stands for conversation, actually. Chit-chat in Japanese. But just because I said chit-chat doesn't mean that it's just chit-chat. There is a format. And what is it format? That every presenter that we will see this evening here will show 20 images each. And each of these 20 images for 20 seconds each. So it is meant to be interactive. There is a Q&A session. Hopefully we'll be able to take about three to four questions per speaker and presenter. Now, before I introduce our featured guests, there is one gentleman in this room who has seen through this all, has the vision. He represents a company that is presenting this to us, and happens to be the managing director of Kohler Kitchen and Baths, India and Sub-Saharan Africa. Please put your hands together to welcome Salil Sadanandan to open the Ahmedabad Forum this evening for us.
Very warm good evening to all of you, and a warm welcome here. So this is meant to be not a very serious, necessarily a serious evening. Informal and fun. So you can start the clock. Okay, so I look around and see that none of you have raised your hand, so I'm assuming that the standards in this room at least are pretty high already. So a few months back, my design team forced me to take a very weird internet quiz. It checks your brain quotient. And this quiz reveals that whatever little gray matter that I have is stuck on the left side of my brain. I think they were trying to say that people like me have no imagination, no creativity. Our math, basic math may be good, and very little instinct. And I think the point these guys were trying to make, and some of them are here, I can see them, is that people like me don't matter. But I think you guys will agree that most of your clients and customers are wired like me. So be a little nice to me, and I'll tell you how people like me are wired. So this is life as a creatively challenged left-brainer like me sees it. After almost 3 years and some months as the head of this company, I am caught up in a bit of this fantasy, and I can see myself in this picture. Apart from my really giant head, you can see the lovely Clio bathtub from Kohler, beautiful product. But I must tell you, even after so many years as head of this company, when I go past a construction site, all I do is 5 towers, 50 floors, 10 apartments on each floor, 3 bathrooms in each house. Wow, that's 7,500 bathrooms. And the first thing I do is call my sales guy and say, have you met that architect who's designed this building? Can we get some business? But I do myself injustice. I do believe that I'm a work in progress, and I think I'm evolving. And as proof, I'll end this presentation on a really serious and somber note. Bazinga. Thank you.
That's quite an optimistic note to end the presentation on, Salil, that you're evolving. Some of us can't even say that. One of them is certainly standing before you. But really wonderful to hear your thoughts, and you've sort of set the ball rolling. You have also given a live demo for all of us as to how the PechaKucha format works. The people who I call onto the podium here, and why do I say it in plural? Because it's the first ever time that I think in the Kohler series that we are having a couple, a jodi, and one of the most happening designer jodis of Ahmedabad. In fact, this hall knows them, and pretty much anybody in this space have deep respect for their work. So their 35 years of practice, they say, is in the pursuit for responsible architecture and design. Without further ado, let's welcome Parul Zaveri and Nimish Patel for the As I See It series.
As we see it, this presentation is about what we see as the direction of education and design profession in the interest of India. And as we have practiced it for 35 years, we have a wealth of invaluable assets in our traditions, which requires its revival and survival. India has a rich heritage of historic buildings and monuments, which have survived for many centuries. Revitalizing them through adaptive reuse increases the building stock substantially and economically, thus reducing the need for new buildings and more funds.
30,000 square meter project generated employment for 300 highly skilled craftspersons for 3 years, 1,500 local craftspersons for 2 years, and revitalized 14 local crafts. And yet, it won close to 100 international hospitality awards, including the best hotel of the world. Continuity of India's wealth of traditional knowledge, wisdom, crafts and craftspersons rests on the shoulders of the practicing architects and interior designers, and it's our responsibility to also pursue these directions. The traditional craftspersons are the willing teachers in their knowledge, wisdom, and crafts, but only if we, the pupils, promise to adopt their focused approach and humility in return. This is as we see it and as we practice it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Parul and Nimish, both of you, when I mentioned commonalities, there are commonalities even in the gurus you sought. I think when we speak about you being students of the visionary architect B.V. Doshi, and Parul particularly, you interned and worked with the architect from Arizona, USA, Paolo Soleri.
Yes.
So what are the traits that you picked up from both of them? What are their influences on both of you?
From both, I think, respecting your culture, your roots. And Soleri was very much into using the local materials and local technologies, using the sun as much as he could.
From Doshi, I learned to ask the question, why not? And to fly without fear. And there's another professor of mine, Professor Caminos at MIT, from whom I learned to ask the question, why? And to keep my feet on the ground. So I fly without fear with my feet on the ground.
Awesomely put. Now, really, such a beautiful, inspiring line there. Thank you so much for this inspiring talk. Ladies and gentlemen, on that note, it's my pleasure to invite the next speaker and the next presenter, the designer for the evening, who comes to us and tells us how, as she sees the world. Chirashri Thakkar, an associate with Thakkar Associates. That's a firm that offers consultancy services in the fields of civil and structural engineering, architecture, and interiors. Let's not waste any more moments and welcome Chirashri Thakkar onto this presentation.
Good evening, all of you. All friends, seniors, colleagues. Thank you, Kohler, for making this event in Ahmedabad. I realized that this is more of a fun event. So I decided that I'm not going to talk of something very serious about my work and all that, but I'm going to just put some substance and food for thought for all of us to discuss. As I see it, design is a profession, but it's a bug. It's a bug that gets into your head. Once it's there, it brings on a high, a kind of frenzy. It is a charged up situation, heady state, and in which All the concepts and lines and forms and of spaces are flying all around your head, and they come together to a recognizable shape. Probably that is design. We must admit that some unconventional designs stand out not because they do not conform, but because they are gimmicky. From this follows that being unconventional is not the only solution. Design is about a passion with an inclination to learn. I have found the process of making PechaKucha a very complete representation of what design process is all about. It starts from the seeds of the tamarind, then you pound it, you make colors, and then you come up with a beautiful painting. PechaKucha, by the way, is a traditional painting style from Orissa. Isn't it our responsibility as designers to collaborate and carry along the various crafts, arts, styles, materials, and expertise in the process of designing? And then the bug moves on. And this is, to me, design, and as I see it.
And the next in the series is somebody, who has a very interesting workplace, I'm told, in Ahmedabad. If you have been to his workplace, you know that it's full of paintings, and the man really lives his passion for art. Well, we are talking about Hiren Patel, architect, interior designer, landscape designer, again a CEPT product, studied at CEPT, and he's been practicing architecture for the past 22 years. Can't wait to hear him. Please put your hands together to welcome Hiren Patel as the next speaker.
Okay, so I say the way we pursue the art at HPA. Okay, so it's the first house, it's a house which I have designed for the art collector. And actually we are working with the paintings on the wall, and that's how the house has been erected. Then architecture itself is an art. It's absolutely, you design and compass your building the way you look at it, the art. Then again, you see landscape as an art. You live within and look outside. The earthquake-broken houses of Kutch, we brought each pieces from there in Surendranagar. This is the beautiful house we designed in Verawal, and admiring the contest. Workspace absolutely require a beautiful piece of work and art because it keeps you calm and you keep on wandering with the nice painting. So, okay, this is a beautiful project in Ramrahi Tekra near Calico Museum, and we create the classrooms for the children, and we thought sustainability can become art using bamboo screens and creating the louvers out of that. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Each one of it is an object of beauty. Do you agree? It was just so beautiful. It just felt like I was watching a painting book. On that note, questions? Yes.
Hi, I'm Nupur. I'm from Kohler itself. So I just wanted to know how difficult it's to make the client understand about art. So you talk about art because many people like me don't understand art. So how do you explain them about?
I would say that art is for your own personal liking, especially paintings. So don't go with the names, but whatever you love, you just do it. Most of the people, has become, they got that click, no? So you work hard to explain them and then live on them.
Thank you so much for answering that. Salil, you had a question?
Hiren, actually, if you had to make a choice for the rest of your life, what would you rather be, an artist or an architect?
Artists, I would say. Two things. Because architecture is, you are also like, architect is like an artist, but you design and your baby is not in your hand. That's the biggest pain. But I'm happy to be an architect. That's not, that I don't regret at all. Yeah.
Wonderful learnings from your presentation, and it was thoroughly enjoyable. Besides being a visual treat, ladies and gentlemen, this was Hiren Patel for you. We have a very, very important presenter in our midst. Somebody who really lets his work do the talking. In fact, the introduction that I have may not even do justice to the kind of work that he does. And I'm speaking about Rajiv Katpalia. Rajiv is a recipient of the Prime Minister's National Award for Innovative urban design. He's also won several honors and awards. Among them would be the World Architecture Award, JK Cement Architect of the Year, and the Indian Architecture Award, to just name a few. His works, in fact, constantly seek to question the issues behind architecture and urban planning. Please put your hands together to welcome Rajiv.
I'm not going to show much work, in fact, hardly any work at all. I'm going to show you the processes that I enjoy doing to get to that work. Right at the beginning of my career, I had a chance to travel around Europe. I was sort of bumming around for 4 months, backpacking in Europe. And in my camera bag, I put in a sketchbook and some, pencils by chance. But I'll give you a sense of the sketchbook and how it's translated into some of the works. And so with that, I'll begin. This was this is somewhere in France, and it's my third sketchbook. I couldn't finish a day without sitting and sketching. In fact, it became to the point that I could spend a whole day just drawing. And so this is the kinds of drawings that started with, and moved on from there to much more sophisticated drawings, as I said, and they started paying for my way through. When I came here to Ahmedabad, this is what impressed me about Ahmedabad: the cows, the streets, the colors, and the way I drew changed. And all of this, I think, was affecting the work I was doing. This, I'm sure you must have recognized, is Stonehenge. And one of the projects I was working on became Bata Henge. It was Bata Nagar and it became Bata Henge. And the buildings actually emerged out of some of these sketches because I'd gone in between, and they emerged out of that. This was another one. We were supposed to do a prototype for a CNG station, and it started with the idea of capturing energy in vessels. And so these little watercolors came up, and eventually that's what got built. There were 2 legs which it stood on, and the forms that came out of the sketches as such. This is my own house again, and it started like a series of sketches, and they became animals, and animals which walk and talk, and from that emerged the actual house. That's how the roof is now. Yeah, we did this competition for the Guggenheim in Helsinki, and the thing was about an Arctic fox and how an Arctic fox keeps warm in the winter months in the snow. And the form emerged out of that. It came also out of the idea of public gardens, which were a winter garden, what you miss out in this thing. And from that came the actual building. So there are connections from animals to drawings to sort of connected to environmental issues and energy issues that connect up all these things together. And I think that sort of ends the thing. Thank you.
I think there's a style. I don't know if you call it minimalist or something else, but certainly less was more in your case, and it's been very, very illuminating to have this conversation, or rather this thought sharing from you, Rajiv. Do we have audience questions?
My name is Vivek, and I am an interior designer. So I just want to know one thing, that we have seen plenty of versatility in your projects, So what is that versatility which, how does that evolve? Is it the process or?
Right, very early in my career, I was told by my guru and mentor, Mr. Doshi, that, one should not repeat oneself. Yeah. And I took that very seriously. And I said that each project, what he talked about was, he says every animal is complete in itself. It looks complete, and yet it is different.
Exactly.
Each person is complete, and yet is different. So how do you challenge yourself to make sure that each project and the next one, you don't repeat yourself? You don't have a formula. Because I think out of where you are building, why you are building, for the client you are building, all of it sort of impinges and evolves into something else. So each animal is complete in themselves and yet different from the other.
Yet another of those absolutely meaningful presentations this evening. Well, ladies and gentlemen, a function an evening like this is clearly a factor of many minds coming together. And one is not talking only about those who came here to present their ideas, but also of a lot of effort that has gone on behind it, which is why I'm going to be inviting the Deputy General Manager, Projects Marketing, Kohler, Parveen Gupta, to propose a vote of thanks.
Well, I'm really spellbound. I never expected such brilliant attendance and such brilliant works. So I'm really inspired and I'm really jealous. So thank you all for turning up. Thank you all for making it meaningful evening for us and asking such engaging questions. And a big thank you to all the speakers who put in a lot of efforts. And it is really not for me to say, but for everybody to give a huge round of applause to all the speakers who put in so much effort in it. Thank you so much.
It has been an absolute pleasure to bring this session of Kohler Bold Art, powered by PechaKucha, from this design city of Ahmedabad. Thank you once again, and have yourselves a very good evening. Good evening.